What's up, everybody? This is another episode of Cooking with Napalm. My tank was on empty, so I had to come down here and get a new one. You can probably see it back there in the back. Now, let's go ahead and read a question here, and I'll answer it while I drive. This is from Jonathan Charlotte. He says, "Beastly as always." And I'm not sure what video this was, but I'm sure it was one of mine. Random question about grippers. Maybe you've answered it elsewhere. But the longer a gripper has aged, generally speaking, does it get harder to close or vice versa? Not really taking into account maintenance or where the gripper is kept. Well, that's a good question. But not taking any of those things into account would be a mistake, because those are some of the biggest factors that dictate how your gripper will age. But a gripper that is just sitting there not being used and the state of it never changes, then the difficulty of that gripper probably won't change too much. Now, some things that will cause it to become more difficult to close, probably the biggest factor would be rust on the spring. If the spring binds a lot because of rust or any kind of dust and dirt that's in the spring, it's gonna be tougher to close. Another thing that can cause the gripper to be more difficult to close is if the knurling gets all banged up. All right, obviously we're talking maintenance and care and stuff like that now. If the knurling gets all banged up and gets really smooth, then you're not going to be able to get as good of a grip on the handles. So you want to practice good maintenance of the actual handles themselves. When you carry them, or if you ship them off to someone, make sure that the knurling is protected, whether it's with paper or shipping, wrapping paper, things like that. Those are the main things that are going to affect your gripper difficulty and make them harder to close. They'll become easier to close if the spring is of the type of quality that will allow the handle spread to narrow. So the further apart the handles are, if you have two identical grippers, everything is the same about them, but one of them, the handles are spread further apart, chances are the one with the further handles is going to be tougher to close. So in most cases, if you just size up a couple of grippers and see which one is spread further apart, that one's probably going to be tougher to close than the other one. Okay? Now, if you buy cheaper grippers that are made with cheaper springs, then a lot of times you'll end up with handles that narrow as the gripper gets used. Okay, the gripper will season a little bit. I think I've rated grippers 1 year, and then maybe 3 years later I might get like 2 pounds less. So they will season from being used, but you're going to affect the difficulty much more through poor care, or if the gripper is a cheapo gripper and uses poor manufacturing processes to make their springs, or just lower quality springs. I don't know anything about gripper manufacturing. I don't even know why I brought that up. But I do know that if you take care of your grippers, they will last you a long time, and they can be consistent. They don't get very much weaker through use. I mean, I have some grippers that I've used for over 10 years now, and they feel just as hard to squeeze and close and difficult and challenging as they did when I first got them. So I don't think it's something that you really need to worry too much when you're buying grippers. But I will encourage you to get grippers that come from Iron Mind, Beef Builder Warren Tedding, Gillingham High Performance. Those companies have great grippers. I don't know a lot about the other companies that are out there. I know many of them, the handle spread is very narrow, and I don't like the way they feel. I like the ones that are, all about the same size personally. And those are the three that I said. All right, there's a little information on grippers. Take care of them. Don't beat them up. Don't let them get all rusty and dirty and crusty. All right, guys? Hope this has been helpful. Wish you all the best in your training. Be sure to subscribe. Take care.